Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. It's Juneteenth today. Are you off today? Oh, are you working?
I'm not. I'm working.
Yeah, same here. I'm working. I didn't even know, but I work from a co-working space. Lots less people than I realized something's going on. Today also, are you a soccer fan? Are you watching FIFA at all?
I haven't had a lot of time. I did see the U.S.
Yeah, today they're playing, I
game.
think, against Australia.
Yeah, I just
Right?
realized. Yeah, today at 3 something. I just realized
Yeah,
that I
three,
will
three.
be if U.S. wins Group D, gets out of Group D,
Yeah.
uh, they'll play in San Francisco in the beginning of July, and then
Yeah.
I'll be in San Francisco, and there's a bunch
Oh,
of
that's
people
cool.
going
See
on.
if you can
So
grab a ticket. That would be awesome.
exactly.
Yeah. I wish they've had a game here in Columbus, Ohio, but we don't anyway. So thanks for joining. Rob's going to be new co-host along with Harry. Harry has some conflict today, that's why he didn't join. Like usual, there are lots of stuff going on with the AI. This is some of the stories that we both found interesting. We're going to cover. If you have any questions, drop it on the chat. We'll talk about it. With that said, I think it makes sense to start with Claude Fable. So let's get a timeline a little bit here. So Claude Fable, which is sort of a dumbed down, I know there is probably not the right way to say it, with some constraint, a version that is sort of constrained version of the Mythos that they are planning to release, but they think it's too dangerous for us to handle. We are not grown-ups yet, but anyway, so they released on June 9, 3 days. Did you get a chance to play with Fable at all, Rob?
Oh yeah, tons. Like I actually was using Claude Code, and
Yeah.
it like popped up in my terminal. It was like, try Fable 5, and I was like, what is Fable 5? So I went and looked, and
Yeah.
like I saw the announcement within minutes of them releasing it,
Yeah.
and then yeah, I was all Fable for those few days that it was available. But yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so I also did when I saw the announcement, I immediately updated my Claude and tried using it. I was impressed. I mean, it actually managed to do. I was middle of a huge refactoring, and it was sort of a good timing for me. I was impressed. Because before Fable, I was been having rough time with Opus and others. I was this close to essentially switch to Codex, but anyway, so it's definitely.
I did hear something. Steve Yagi, he said as soon as Mythos was announced, he stopped developing and he started building up his backlog, and knowing that not developing, he'll get behind everyone else.
Yeah.
But then when the new model comes out, he can catch up very quickly.
Catch up. Yeah, that's smart.
He has the new model.
That's totally smart.
That applies right now as well, because obviously the news Fable went away. You should be building your backlog.
So Fable went away. I'm looking at this blog right here. This is from Claude, obviously. I've heard both sides of the stories here, but according to this, they got a statement from U.S. government that this is too risky for, and it should be only allowed to use for no foreign national should be allowed to use this. Obviously, it's super hard for an organization to implement something like that so quickly, so they essentially disabled. I don't know whether you had a backstory. What I heard is that some folks in Amazon, maybe Amazon R&D or something, were able to jailbreak it, so bypass whatever constraints they have input in that their model. And they alerted White House. Is that the backstory, or?
Yeah, I think that's probably the actual story that happened, but
yeah,
who knows? The other thing with that too is like they're always jailbreakable. That's the weird thing. Like if you follow Pliny the Elder on X,
right?
Twitter,
Yeah,
he has broken every single model and got it to say whatever you want. So
this is gonna be my question. When they say they're putting constraints or safeguards, this is not the right technical term. That's essentially adding some clauses in their system, correct? that don't respond to this kind of queries.
It's a separate model, a router model that will catch those
Okay.
things.
Okay.
Whether going in or coming out, it will evaluate the messages separate from Mythos or Fable itself.
So what's your, we don't have to get political in here, but I mean, just what's your sort of, this doesn't have any precedence before, right? I mean, government jumping in and maybe it's done before, like asking a very powerful model not to be accessible to everyone. I know there is a G7 going on. I saw something on Twitter today also. It's actually one of the discussion that now as the models are getting smarter and smarter, they just want to control access to this model. Who gets access to what model? Which sort of feels weird a little bit to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely powerful. They compare it to nuclear weapons, which may or may not be a good comparison. But like, if you think about it, the model can actually become more powerful than the government itself. And so like, there's two sides of that coin. Is like, can a private company using an ASI become more powerful than the government itself? And should the government shut them down? That all came up when the Department of War controversy was happening.
That's true.
You know, you can't, there's two, I understand both sides, and the one side was like, you can't let Anthropic drive policy as a private company. And that keys into that concept where if you do get an ASI, it can actually be more powerful and usurp a whole government.
Right. I mean, so obviously, I mean, I think we covered about Fable before. Maybe we didn't. Obviously, the charts. I'm not a great believer of leaderboards anymore, but this obviously looks very impressive numbers compared to others. The other side of the story I heard is that they want. I think they got a mandate from government to fix some of this. What the risk associated with this, whatever the Amazon or somebody found by jailbreaking the model. And I'm assuming Claude and Anthropic is working on that. I'm hoping soon this will be resolved and we'll all get access to Fable.
Have you ever looked at some of the jailbreaking stuff? It's kind of interesting because it goes back to like different character encodings and
is that the simple
in Unicode that you never even knew existed, or Unicode characters that don't actually display on the screen, and yeah, there's like a tons of just weird techniques. Most people cannot do that. They don't have the skills to do it.
So that goes back to I think one of the an Anthropic's defense. I think what they said is that whatever the jailbreak things that they have found, and I think Darius said somewhere that most of the frontier model has same flaws, essentially. You can do the same thing with GPT 5.5. I don't know. I cannot validate how true that is, but seems like we have seen hackers sort of using these techniques with existing models already. So
yeah,
this is going to be a huge issue going forward, isn't it?
Yeah, it's whether you need the hard safeguards for this type of model, and you know, does it need to get better, or will? I hope so. I want access. Actually, a side story is I actually am purchasing some GPUs so that I can have my own AI in case stuff like this.
Are you getting that? Are you getting that NVIDIA Spark, that PC?
No, I went and bought some.
You're doing just hardcore.
3090 and 3080. Yeah, so I'm gonna run some GPUs and try it out.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we're gonna be watching the stories. Hopefully, there will be we'll be all get access to this. I know we talked about this. The Mythos 5. Some vendors already got access, and I do have few friends that work for I'm not going to mention which bank, so a big financial institute, and they got access to Mythos 5. And what I've been told is that it's true that this model was able to find lots of flaws in their system, And security flaws for financial institutions, it's a big deal. I mean, it's a real issue. Day zero sort of problems. I think he said one of the issues that Mythos found was sort of can give anybody access, admin access, which I thought was crazy. And the reason this is important, I feel like, I mean, there are lots of cybersecurity experts, but cybersecurity experts not necessarily are software developers. What makes these models really scary because they're cross-functional, right? They're poly-skilled. I mean, so imagine Fable 5 is a great software engineer and also cybersecurity expert. When you combine those two skills, I mean, it's able to exploit new stuff that normal security experts cannot do. I think that's what we are kind of seeing here happening.
I actually noticed that just developing with Fable, it brought up security. Like in the application I was working on, I didn't even like prompt it about security.
Right.
It was just inherently concerned. So it must be something in the post training that's like gearing it towards that. They said they didn't train it for that, but like there's something that's making
something they gotta be. I mean, I feel like they're going after this. And I've always been, we'll take there. I mean, I have some questions about how they're marketing those things. I mean, on one hand, you're saying these models are risky. Another hand, you're complaining when somebody's saying that it's just too risky to deploy. It's sort of, you asked for it. You've been telling us this is risky. So it's kind of interesting. All right, so moving on to the next story I have here, which is so last couple of weeks back, I think we had Google's what they call it, their WWDC. They have that Google Developer Day or something.
I/O.
Then there was a I/O. Thank you, Google I/O. Then Microsoft Build. Now I think a couple of weeks back or last week, I think Apple announced their WWDC. This is their worldwide developer conference. Now, not to our surprise, the biggest news was essentially Siri. Siri is getting smarter. And we all been talking about this. I'm going to start the video in here.
Coming to a pocket near you.
So it's a very Hollywood-style demo video here. But what they're doing is that they're making Siri smarter. The way they're doing it is they're sort of partnering with Google Gemini. Now, they're not taking your request and sending it to Google Gemini. And Rob and I was talking about this. Google helped them build sort of Apple's custom models that's running on their Apple infrastructure. I think Apple has a tremendous opportunity in here. The biggest reason I feel like, even though this model might be powerful as Fable, but since they have the distribution and we all sort of carry our smartphone, I think what they're going after is essentially integrating AI with everything that you do, sort of omnipresent. That's what we want, right? We don't want to separately go to a chat application to get some work done. We want to get work done based on where we are. I think that's what they're driving for. I mean, obviously, Apple has a huge advantage for that. Other than that, most of the news feels.
I would say they're definitely like consumer focused. So
yes.
The fact that they have the whole platform for all the phones and all the consumer devices, for somebody who's like me, who's deep in AI, they don't seem that interesting. They're like consumer use cases that broadly apply to everybody that are just, they may not seem like a huge thing, but like they do make everyone's lives slightly better, slightly easier. Editing photos and
great. A potentially foldable iPhone, which is I'm not sure. I've seen foldable phones these days. I think Samsung has one. I don't know. I'm not into that yet, but looks cool.
They got to find something new to sell phones.
So not major announcement. I think there were lots of small announcements, like Rob was saying. I mean, they're fixing a few things, and we all, as a builders, understand. I mean, they got EQ. There are lots of fixes on AirPods and stuff. the photo was a really good thing. And one of the things that you and I were talking about before we went live, right? I think the privacy is a very, very interesting angle. I think everyone, non-techie guys I talk to, they all have this, they will just take my data and learn from about me. Apple is sort of pinning that problem directly, saying, no, I mean, it's very protected. I think, like Rob, you said, right, that when the initial request comes, all the data cleaning happen on your phone. So none of the privacy data sort of goes out. And even if it's going out, Apple has a very secure sort of sandbox environment where they're processing a request and response comes back. So even though it says Google Gemini, please be sure that none of the data is actually going to Google.
Yeah, there's actually they have a patent on this approach from, I think, 2018 that I read when it came out, where they try to process it on your device, but then they can securely pass it off to another server and have it run there, and they can't see anything that's going on within it, and will be able to run it and be anonymized and not be able to see what you were doing.
Yeah.
And it's the same technology they're using now.
Yeah. I think this is also what I think interesting, because as these phones are getting smarter and smarter, I mean, do you think down the line we're going to be like LLM running on your phone, like everything happening locally? It's totally possible, right?
It's absolutely possible. So at AI Tinkerers, which I co-organized with my friend Michael, we had Mike Schertzenzer he did a talk on silent note taker, and the whole thing ran in the browser. So he had I think it's Voxtrol 4B, like just came out, that was like recording the voice and transcribing it. And then he had a 500 million parameter model. This is all running in the browser.
Oh, wow.
That was like recording open questions, and then whether they were answered as the conversation was going. And the whole thing was just running in the browser with these small models. And it essentially could do everything that Granola could do. And some are actually better.
Wow.
But he did the whole thing in the browser. So it's using like Wasm as a lockbox.
So this is amazing. I mean, if you're a local Columbus, a shout out to Rob, obviously, and his team and all the folks that are present here. It's my goal to be one of this, not this month, next month. I will probably definitely try. So if you're local here, definitely try this meetup group. This is one of those where hands-on preferred than slide deck. So if you're a builder, this would be a great place to be in. So yeah, going back to I
think there will be edge devices. Like that's the point is you have small models that can work very well.
Yeah, which is my sort of spidey sense tells me. So one other thing about this was last WWDC for Tim Cook. I think he's sort of retiring. I think the next CEO is, I'm forgetting his name. He's actually come from the hardware division, which I always wondered, where everyone is sort of building AI and going for the model. Why would Apple sort of promote someone from hardware to lead the company? And I feel like knowing Apple, they're probably focusing lots on the hardware to, if you can make a powerful phone that runs a reasonably well modeled locally and provide that security and data safety, I think that's going to be a huge, huge win for Apple down the line.
I wonder if it also has to do with like the Mac Mini being used, like their hardware is being used for all these OpenClaw bots. And
that's right.
There's a whole communities around the Mac Studio as well. They're super expensive, but like using them for inference and as just like this remote server. Like lots of people are doing that because they're easy. They may not be the best, but they're like fairly good for what you're paying.
Right, totally. Yeah, Mac Minis are coolest thing these days to own. Don't write off Apple yet. I mean, they're slowly, and I realize this. A large companies is like turning a huge ship around. It takes some time, but they're getting back to that game. I'm super impressed with some of the updates they're pushing here. I'm not sure about the liquid glass though, but rest of the things looks pretty cool. All right, so bringing back to home a little bit, I saw this post from Satya that kind of piqued my attention a little bit, where he's, I mean, so the context behind this is that, I mean, it's all fear sort of, all the builders out there, including me, right? When you're building a company and most likely to move fast, you're not training your own model, right? You're using one of the frontier model because that's the best way to quickly push out feature. Now, we are seeing this provider companies obviously not staying in their lane. They're just crossing right now. They're trying to expand their capabilities, taking over businesses like Claude, releasing stuff for small, medium-sized businesses, which is kind of my area, and then finance, cybersecurity, obviously with Fable and Mythos. So that brings a lot interesting question, Rob, that I would like to get your take on. This is that, like, owning versus renting, right? I mean, how can we safeguard our knowledge, our expertise, our skills, our domain knowledge, our secrets, all the things that we have learned over the years? Own that, but still take benefit of using this model. How to sort of walk through that dilemma?
Yeah, and I think it depends what you're talking about, because obviously you should own your own data, and that was one of Satya's points, is owning the things that are specific to you. Yeah. And then you could also own the inference. You could like distill models, smaller models for your own use cases. But at the end of the day, the frontier is going to be the frontier, and it's probably going to be on an API that someone else owns. So your goal would be to get to own all the things that are specific to you, and then how can you use that frontier capability to make what you own better already?
Right.
How do you train better models, distill better models from the larger models? How do you structure your corpus of data? You know, do you create a knowledge graph for your whole company?
Right.
Like, how do you surface that information so that you can use it in the different models? But yeah, there's like making sure that you own the things that are specific to your business. I think it's the Amazon quote, Jeff Bezos quote, that you should do the stuff that makes your beer taste better.
Yeah. And that's right. I mean, I think this is also brings back to another discussion that I've been hearing lately, is that should you tie your products and solutions to one model, right? I mean, he's echoing that thought here. You should be capable of, and it have to be, because it's sort of mitigating risk, right? Today, you build your product around Fable and something happens to that, or they increase their token prices, which is happening. How you should have balanced that. So owning your, what Rob just said, the knowledge, the evals, the data, the knowledge graph, all just not prompts, right? It's beyond prompts. If you're just prompting and getting results and building applications around that, then you're not building IP anymore.
Yeah, and as you were talking, I was like, oh yes, evals was one thing I didn't say, and that's definitely something that you should own, because that's specific to your product and owning your taste. And
this is what I've been thinking. I know, I think last year when you started talking about eval, when everyone else was like, oh, look at my prompt. One thing I was curious about that, and I feel like I need to do this, like, model increments happens, right? And I've been telling everyone that as a company, every company should have an eval set. How do you know that your product is getting better by upgrading model? Because I feel like upgrade doesn't necessarily always improve all parts of your application, right? Something might get good, something might deteriorate, right? So if you don't have a benchmark, your internal benchmark, because you cannot rely on the public leaderboards, because all the model providers are gaming them right now. So I think it becomes a table stake right now. You have to have that.
I just created a data set this week for one of our customers, and did a baseline, and a couple of the evals were pretty low. It was right like 25% of the time. I was able to make like small adjustments and get that particular eval from 25% up to 83% in just like one change. But
what was the change, if you don't mind? Is it a prompt change or?
It was some domain knowledge that I fed in. We had an existing spreadsheet that a business analyst had created, and I tried to generalize that into rules and then incorporate that into the prompt. But yeah, I was injecting domain knowledge into the prompt to make it better. But where I was trying to get with that though is that there was a regression in some of the other ones that were performing well. So other ones that were like 88% correct went down to 83. And so that's why you have the evaluations, because you can see, oh, I made this change and it made this so much better, but then I actually regressed in other areas. So then you have to keep tweaking until the previous ones are at least the same and the other one is better. And so you can see across all those different dimensions that you care about.
Yeah. So, I mean, if evals is like those CI integration regression, a smoke test for essentially for every time you switch model. I mean, I think it's becoming very, very, I mean, the good companies like Rob was giving an example, I mean, are going after this because that's the only way to ensure, because every model upgrades happening 6 months. How do you know it's actually getting better?
The difference between evals is it's never 100%. It's always some percentage. And if it's 100%, then it's the eval is not an eval. It's you.
Do you always, if somebody wants to implement this right now, let's talk about evals because I know you have lots of good experience around. If someone wants to start with this, listening to us saying that, holy shit, they are right. I need to make sure I have to build my eval. But what's the right way, if you have to summarize, give the 3 set of action items, how to get started on this?
Yeah, I start with a data set that is between 10 and 100 examples. If I can get to 10, I can get to 100 because I can synthetically generate the rest. But you need to build that data set. Is like anytime you build a feature, okay, can we get representative data that shows what it should be? So I collect like inputs would be exactly what's available for that use case. So like if you have, I'll talk about our my previous startup. We had trace data. So data flowing between systems. It was a trace to show you like what hops it made during that integration. So our input was like the trace ID that we wanted to evaluate to see what happened in that trace. And then our output would be what happened in that trace. So like there was a 400 against this API. So you have your input, your expected output, and then you generate with the LLM what the output is. And then you compare what the expected output is to what was actually output. There's things that are more Boolean. So like that is more like human judgment, where you have someone go through and look at what can go wrong. But some things are like an SQL query is either returns the correct value or it doesn't. So part of the evaluation can be run the golden query and run the one that the AI generated, and then see if the values match up, even if the SQL itself doesn't match up. It's more semantically correct.
That's right. Which makes this even more trickier than other things that we have done, but it's very super critical. I mean, I would encourage, if you're seriously thinking about building products and solutions or a company around this, owning your intelligence is sort of becoming table stakes right now to safeguard your business. Okay, so moving on, let's talk about the new kid on the block here, which is this. There's a new open source model out there, GLM 5.2, which is making a lot of rounds, which is sort of interesting timing-wise, as the Fable sort of got disconnected for everybody. I think this came out beginning of this week, or maybe last week. I don't know. I heard about this week. This model is making lots of buzz around that. This is an open source model, MIT license, has a solid 1 million token context, and all the bells and whistles that you'd expect from any good model these days. What is more impressive about this is the performance chart. I know I just now said that I don't believe in leaderboards, but looking at the leaderboard in here, what got my attention is that obviously this is, they haven't done with Fable, but they have done with Opus 4.8, which is considered, now the Fable is gone. I think this is the top model now, right? Correct, Rob?
Yeah, correct. It's Opus 4.8.
Yeah. So what got my attention is that the 5.2 is very close to that. It actually beats ChatGPT on most of the stuff that I've seen, except this terminal bench in here. Lots of feedback from
open source model for better than GPT.
Open source model. Yeah, that's just wild, isn't it? And this is essentially designed for. Oops, how can I go back?
I should say open weight to be specific.
Open weight.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Now, this always makes me funny. Oh, this is open weight. But even if you download that file, I mean, what is not shared is how they train the model. And Rob and I was talking about this, and this is important to understand this. When you download this open, you're going to get a file with a bunch of floating point numbers. That really doesn't help you with anything. What is, I think, more critical is to really understand how they have improved this. What's the training? I think that's the secret. There's still that secret is not open source. But they use something called index share. I have no idea what that is. A new type of architecture, I guess. So yeah, this is out there. Lots of people are making buzz about it. There's another thing I've noticed, which was interesting, is this, share this tab. From Intelligent Analysis, I was looking at some of the data in here. I looked at this jump that I thought was pretty incredible. So GLM 5.1 to 5.2, they have drastically improved it. So thoughts, comments, Rob, you going to try this model anytime soon?
I'm considering it. I mean, the thing is you can't host it yourself, even though it's open. Like, you have to use it through someone. You could use like Fireworks or like one of
Olama has it. The Olama Cloud, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. So you could use it through somebody else. But yeah, I plan on trying this just because of like how well it's done. And it will probably be on my Zoe computer as well, which is a cloud computer that's AI. But yeah, the fact that it's very good at app development, software development.
Yes, long-running software.
I have to try it. But in my day-to-day, I try not to use open source Chinese models. There is a risk using them. I don't know that it's real, but there is a possibility that there's a risk.
So explain that too. I know you and I talked about this. I think lots of people make that mistake, and I get that question. Why are you saying it's risk? It's an open source model. I'm able to, here, even though this is huge, you'll not be able to download on your machine, local machine, unless you get the top of the line. But anyway, if you manage to download this from their GitHub repo, put it in some sort of cloud environment, like Rob was talking about, and run it, you might feel safe that, hey, I'm running it in my machine. Why it might not be safe, Rob? I mean, what are the risks there?
Yeah, there's a couple things that made me realize or think about this. So like, if you've ever used skills, and those skills can execute code, just by using text, you can tell it to curl an endpoint. I had a skill that would essentially phone home to the skill maker to let them know anonymously who's using the skill. And so it can just tell the LLM to do that, and it will do that. But if you extend that thinking, you can actually train that into the model weights. And if you think of like some of those exploits that were very specific to a power plant in a certain country,
Mm-hmm.
and if you train that into the model, and then that someone happens to use that and has access to the thing to do that, it can exfiltrate, and so you can't see what are in those weights, but it could have been trained to exfiltrate in certain very specific circumstances.
Yeah. I mean, it's totally possible. I mean, I heard these stories from other security team for large companies too, which refuse to use open source models. And one of the reasons for that is that they might. I'm not necessarily saying. Well, we are not necessarily saying this model has these issues, but even if it could happen for any model. Any model could be like the great example of a skill could based on training, could figure out, oh, this is a time for me to call home and share this data as could be potentially just simple as learning. We want to learn from your usage, like a feedback loop. Could leak your data. So that's a risk with this.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not saying that's happening. I'm just saying that is a possibility.
Yes.
Our options aren't as good for open weight models in the US. It's basically Gemma and OpenAI's OSS.
Mm-hmm.
So hoping that we'll get more there, but there's also the Poolside is another one.
Oh, Poolside, yeah. I heard about that company. Okay. So this brings up an interesting thing. I was researching. Obviously, if you look at the open source LLM models, Chinese models are kind of hitting top leaderboards. I mean, they're much better than Gamma or I think Google also has a one open source model too. And that begs a question: is that how far behind these open source models are? And I was because GLM 5.2 scores pretty well. I mean, I don't think if I have the right infrastructure, and I'm going to definitely play with this, maybe use Ollama Cloud, whatever the easiest for me to sort of get up and running. If this leaderboards are true, I don't think I'll see any difference between Opus 4.8 to GLM 5.2. For the biggest benefit I think some of this model have is the cost. It takes I think PAR benchmarked us is a 4 cents for GLM. For GPT 5.5 is 99 cents. For Opus 4.8 is $1.7. So the price difference is drastic. I mean, I think their strategy is to kill the market with cheaper, which is great. I mean, I love competition. This will help us down the line. But I feel like the way things are moving, they might not be that far behind, to be honest with you, with frontier model.
Yeah, and I think that's great. As someone who is using it and being able to host models on competing infrastructure and bring down the cost, like,
yeah,
that's great.
Awesome, right?
Yeah, as a consumer of it.
Yeah. I mean, totally. I'm all for this. This is good. I mean, as long as it would be interesting, I would love for them to share how they're training. I think that will, if their developers are listening to us, I mean, I think that will open up a trust more.
I was actually looking to see if they had released a smaller version of it yet, and they haven't, but I think they will. Because I want to run
Hugging Face might have it though. You mean the
GLM 5.2 hasn't released a smaller version yet.
Oh, okay.
A smaller parameter.
Okay, I see. What I was thinking for this, that what do you call that? 4-bit version, 8-bit version?
Quantized?
Quantized, yeah. I was thinking about quantized to reduce the size. Maybe they have it. Anyway, so it's out there in Hugging Face. You should be able to. Ollama also has it. I know Ollama Cloud. You should have to use it because obviously this is a huge size. But yeah, look at the specs in here. There is a huge spike, obviously, in the download. This model has 573 billion parameter. Is that right?
It's huge.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I will say that you can run Gemma 28B on your Mac. Obviously, if you have enough memory. But I run Pi CLI with Gemma
Are you
locally.
happy with it? PyCLI? Are you? Is it
Yeah,
okay?
I mean, it's not as good as using Opus, but like there are times when I go to a kid's event and I have to sit there in a metal building and there's no internet access, so I fire up my local Gemma instance and then keep developing using Pi connected to that. So
Cool. Very cool. Very cool. All right. So this is probably my coolest story for this podcast, which is Midjourney. I think all of us know Midjourney. They're how to describe Midjourney? They're an image generation company, or
yeah, they generate. It started through Discord. Like you would type a Discord command and it would generate an image for you, and it was very good at like creating very detailed images and fantasy scenarios. And
so they pivoted from generating cats to sonograph and healthcare medical. They pivoted. I think this is very cool. I mean, they're already expert in image generation. It's sort of now in retrospect sort of makes sense. Why wouldn't they? So they launched this. I think it came out yesterday. The launch video is pretty cool. It's almost going to give you sort of Star Trek feeling. So they're partnering. I don't think they're a hardware company. Obviously, they're partnering with a hardware vendor. I don't know the name exactly. So they announced a new division called Midjourney Medical. It's a company that's going to build full body ultrasound scanner designed to produce MRI-like 3D images in roughly 60 seconds. So there are a couple of interesting things here. The speed, which is faster than the traditional MRI. The amount of data that these guys are collecting. So the experience is that, as you're going to see in the video, is that you stand in a platform inside a shallow pool, then descend through the ring. And I think that's what the video is going to show you here. That's what's happening right now. And it sort of has this microscopic 500,000 microscopic sensors that sort of bounce sound waves from your body, and that's what they use to generate your full body image. It's collecting terabytes of data per second. Now, obviously, this is a prototype, might be a little out there, but building anything for healthcare, especially hardware devices, needs to go through lots of approval, including FDA. I like their plan. So what they went instead is, Rob, this is what you were talking about. They're doing something called Midjourney Spa in San Francisco that is supposed to open end of next year. And the spa will sort of combine scanning with hot tubs, which is pretty cool, saunas and cold plunges, making health imaging feel more like regular wellness, which is sort of cool, like preventive, right? More early you can catch. I mean, there's lots of healthcare benefits. The roadmap is.
So,
go ahead.
I was going to say they're starting with body comp because they don't need the FDA approval for that. It takes a lot longer to get approved for other things, but it sounds like they're going to do the scans and be able to identify other things, but not say they can do it. Until they get actually FDA approved. I also wonder about the privacy of the data. Because of the size of it, they have to upload it to the cloud.
Has to.
And then process it in the cloud, and they say that they're keeping data private, but like there's no explanation of how they're going to do that. So it's like with the DNA testing stuff, like, oh, now you own my DNA,
that got hacked, right? Is it? Didn't they get hacked recently?
Or
one of the vendor company.
They sold, and whoever bought them now has. They have the rights to whoever used that service. 23andMe.
Yes, that's right. That's what the company I was thinking about.
They
very cool. I'm rooting for them. This is right. I mean, not to mention going after a really interesting problem to solve. We need more AI like this.
I think one of the other benefits is that the cost is a lot cheaper than MRI. So using the ultrasounds, it's quicker. It is like, I think it's better resolution, but it is also much cheaper. It's like dollars instead of hundreds or thousands of dollars to do this.
That's correct. I mean, that's another impressive thing, right? I mean, healthcare becoming so expensive. It's lovely to see someone is actually truly building something to make it more reasonable. Very cool. Very cool. It's super cool, David. All right, the last one I have, which I'm going to lean on you to explain me because I was very confused when I saw this, is Google introduces something called open knowledge format. I mean, there has been talk going back to, I'll just set the stage for you, going back to what we just talked about, like owning and renting. Owning means you're going to have context, memory, knowledge graph, all the stuff that we're going to be accumulating in markdown files. Google sort of realized that everybody doing is, let's create a standard around this. So open knowledge format. So Rob, I know you looked into those. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I had a conversation with my former co-founder who turned me on to it. And my initial thought was like, oh, somebody's just trying to create a new standard for skills.
Yeah.
But then as I dug into it a little bit, I could differentiate the two. So this is more about how you structure your data that you would have as an organization for very domain specific things like your sales organization being able to create documents around all your sales processes and a standard format to do that. Where skills are different, it's more of like how you action on that data. So you create a skill around sales and like how, you're trying to enable the agent to do what your sales team can do. And so you'd actually have a combination of this format of your data plus a skill. And I have a second brain in Obsidian where like I just shove everything in there into Markdown. And I actually created templates for this, and I haven't, since this is fairly new, I haven't really created a bunch with them. But I'm starting to explore it more to understand exactly how it works. But it's a format for your Markdown that is standardized. Yeah, that's a good example there, how they have the sale, the data sets, tables.
So you think we need this? Is solving a real problem. Right now it's scattered, right? It's not organized. They're just putting some organization around this.
I think so. I'm not 100% sure whether it's just another standard that is out there. 10 standards. Let's create one standard to rule them all.
No, I like their. I know Google is doing some lot of stuff in here. Obviously, they did. I think they did A2A, maybe agent to agent. Then they did something like Design MD, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, ACP as well.
SAP as well. That's right. Now this, I mean, it was good. I mean, Google is doing something for the ecosystem. It makes a lot of sense. I'm just, maybe we should all sort of, this is fairly new for us. So I'm not, it's not fair to expect us to know everything about this, but there's something to watch out for because I think there is a general problem that everybody's going after. And I think everybody's doing this probably in their own way, organizing their memory file, context file, like wiki. I knew there was an LLM wiki concept that came out recently, the second break. Andrej Kartapi talked about this too, right? How to create an LLM wiki, sort of save all your information when you have your second brain. So this could be
the benefit behind it is you can build products that make use of it. So it's open telemetry is like a good example for me where like every single system emits data and there was all these custom proprietary formats. And so if you were like Sentry, you had to make sense to either have somebody install your specific library to observe your system, or this is an open source that you can put in every single system and it should work for every vendor that makes sense of your data, that reads it and then like actually shows you what's going on. So this is a way to like format your data so that people can build products on top of this to help you make sense of all this data that you've stored.
Yeah, super cool. I mean, I think It makes sense. I mean, I think we need a structure around this before it gets out of the hand. So yeah, go check it out. Introducing open knowledge format. It's not a different extension. It's just how you organize your knowledge with a group of markdown files. I like that it's less opinionated, more giving you a structure to play with, which is probably a good thing. And there's also a great thing about LLMs. LLMs doesn't need super well-defined structure like API interface, right? It can work with normal text. So it's great to see libraries and product specifications sort of coming around that concept.
And if anyone wants some Obsidian templates that create this, let me know.
Yeah, totally. Oh, send me one.
Them, so.
Yeah. That's awesome. Anything else you found interesting we should talk about?
Oh man, I mean, Fable is the thing that has been occupying my mind. Like, when am I going to get it back, and building up that backlog of things that I want to do in the meantime. So
yeah,
I'm also going out to San Francisco for the AI Engineer World's Fair, and I always come back super jazzed after that, just because
AI Engineer or
it's AI.engineer is the site, but there's different. Like, I was at the Code Summit last November. I was to the first two back in 2023, 2024. But that's been the highest signal place for me is there.
Oh, dude, I wish I knew.
It even says it there, high signal. So, but it's true.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're out there, AI Engineer, they're having a conference, so it looks amazing. Are they going to be live streaming them? Maybe I'll watch it from here.
Yeah, if you go to the YouTube channel, like, everything is live streamed. You can go back to any of these conferences, and
that's cool. Oh, this is the one you're going for, right? World Fair.
Yeah, exactly. And so they've branched out and expanded to different cities, but yeah, if you go to the YouTube channel, you can learn anything you want about AI. It's all high quality content.
What's that YouTube channel called? AI Engineer?
Yeah, it's AI Engineer. It might be like AI.engineer as the actual handle, but like DOT dot.
Do you have it handy? I can share it here.
Yeah, one sec. I will say that it is not the same watching it online. Chat. This is my first time using the chat.
Cool.
Oh, here we go. Did you get it?
Yeah. Right here is the channel.
Yeah. So, like,
no, I mean, yeah, totally. In person would be amazing. Yeah.
The ones that show up first are all amazing. Matthew Popick is that first one that shows up there. Like, that's a really good one. Dex Horsey has a lot of very good ones. So, but there's just like a ton there. The Anthropic on building skills, that's another good one.
Okay, cool. So even if it's called engineer, I mean, I think this all content could be for anyone if you're building products around this. There's some session might be too technical for you, but more or less, I think.
Yeah, at the World's Fair, there's actually a leadership track for VIPs. So it's enterprise leadership. They have special sessions just dedicated to that audience.
I was just thinking how much is the tickets in here. That was pretty cool. Okay, yeah, all right, awesome. Yeah, so check that out. This is cool. I subscribe to it. I'll definitely look into this. I know this guy. All right, so yeah, I guess this is a good point to stop here, I feel like. All right, awesome. Thanks, man. Maybe
it's been fun.
Yeah, totally. So send us any questions you have. It usually creates some streams. I'm going to post them on LinkedIn after this. But other than that, have a wonderful weekend, Bob. I'll talk to you later.